Imagine for a moment that you are staring into your kitchen pantry. You're tired, perhaps a bit stressed from a long day, and your hand reaches instinctively for that familiar, colorful package of cookies. It seems like a harmless habit, a quick pick-me-up to soothe the nerves. But what if I told you that your brain isn't actually asking for energy? What if your brain is being hijacked by a substance that triggers the exact same neurological pathways as powerful narcotics? Recent clinical data suggests that the average person consumes nearly triple the recommended daily limit of added sugar, often without even realizing it. We are living in the midst of a silent, systemic dependency, one that is reshaping our cognitive landscape from the inside out. Before we delve into the neurological mechanics of this addiction, it is essential to state that this content is for informational purposes only and does not replace professional medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for personal health concerns, especially when evaluating significant changes to your diet or long-term metabolic health. The reality is that we are facing a crisis of chemistry. While we often treat sugar as a simple treat, medical professionals are increasingly viewing it as a potent neurotoxin when consumed in excess. The core question we must confront today is this: how much of your focus, your mood, and your memory is truly your own, and how much is being dictated by the sugar-induced fluctuations in your brain's delicate reward centers? When you consume refined glucose, your brain experiences a surge of dopamine so profound that it forces a biological feedback loop, compelling you to seek that high again and again. This isn't just about weight gain or physical health, it is about the structural integrity of your intellect. To understand how to reclaim control over your cognitive functions, we first need to look at the hidden architecture of the brain's hunger signals and how they are being fundamentally rewired by the very foods we consider staples of our modern lifestyle. When that first spoonful of sugar hits your tongue, a sophisticated neurochemical cascade ignites deep within the limbic system. Your brain interprets this sudden influx of glucose not merely as fuel, but as a high-priority survival signal, triggering an immediate release of dopamine in the nucleus accumbens. This region, commonly known as the brain's reward center, lights up with an intensity that mirrors the neurological signature of addictive substances. Research suggests that for many, the neural pathways carved by refined sweeteners are indistinguishable from those forged by narcotics, creating a feedback loop that prioritizes consumption over satiety. As these dopamine spikes become frequent, the brain attempts to maintain homeostasis by downregulating its receptor density. Essentially, your neurological machinery begins to turn down the volume on pleasure, necessitating larger, more frequent doses of sugar just to feel a baseline sense of satisfaction. Studies indicate that this process mimics the tolerance development observed in clinical addiction, effectively hijacking the prefrontal cortex, the very seat of your willpower and decision-making. This isn't a simple failure of self-discipline, it is a physiological overhaul of your internal reward circuitry. Your neurons are being conditioned to crave the rapid-fire stimulation of high-glycemic foods, leaving the brain perpetually starved for the steady, complex energy it requires for sustained focus. The neural architecture, once designed to seek out rare, calorie-dense rewards in a natural environment, is now trapped in a cycle of artificial overstimulation. As the brain's chemical balance shifts, the fog of mental fatigue descends, making the pursuit of cognitive clarity feel like an uphill battle against your own biology. This biochemical dependency doesn't just alter your mood, it actively reshapes the synaptic connections that govern your executive function. By repeatedly flooding the system with these artificial highs, we are inadvertently weakening the structural pathways responsible for emotional regulation and long-term planning. The question remains, if your internal reward system is being systematically rewired by the grocery store aisle, how much of your daily behavior is truly a choice, and how much is a chemical command? When that first spoonful of sugar hits your tongue, a sophisticated neurochemical cascade ignites deep within the limbic system. The answer lies deep within the architecture of our biology, where ancient survival instincts collide with modern industrial alchemy. Research suggests that the human brain evolved to prioritize calorie-dense energy, a mechanism that once ensured our ancestors survived lean winters but now leaves us vulnerable to the hyperpalatable landscape of the modern supermarket. Food scientists meticulously engineer these products to hit the bliss point, a precise ratio of sugar, salt, and fat designed to bypass our satiety signals and trigger an unrelenting pursuit of more. Studies indicate that this is not merely a failure of willpower, it is a profound physiological hijacking of the dopamine pathways that dictate our motivation. As we consume these refined concentrations, the pancreas is forced into a state of chronic overproduction, eventually leading to insulin resistance that blunts the brain's ability to recognize fullness. This metabolic friction creates a feedback loop where the body screams for fuel even when it is physically saturated, effectively trapping the mind in a cycle of constant, low-grade starvation. Beyond the biochemistry of the individual, your genetic code acts as a silent blueprint, dictating how intensely your neuroreceptors light up in response to that first bite. Some individuals possess a heightened sensitivity to sweetness, making the threshold for pleasure lower and the descent into dependency significantly steeper. When your cells become desensitized to insulin, the brain's primary fuel source is effectively locked away, forcing the cognitive center to operate in a state of perpetual energy crisis. This internal instability creates a baseline of anxiety, nudging you toward the very substances that exacerbate the imbalance. We are witnessing a collision between our Paleolithic hardware and a digital-age food environment that treats human physiology as a playground for profit. This isn't just about what you eat, it is about the invisible, programmed instructions you are following every time you walk through a sliding glass door. If your own biology is being leveraged against you, it begs the uncomfortable question: who is actually steering the ship when you reach for that afternoon snack? The answer lies deep within the architecture of our biology, where ancient survival instincts collide with modern industrial alchemy. Research suggests that the human brain evolved to prioritize calorie-dense energy, a mechanism that once ensured our ancestors survived lean winters but now leaves us vulnerable to the hyperpalatable landscape of the modern supermarket. But how do you know if the internal architecture is beginning to buckle? It starts with the haze. This is brain fog, not a lack of discipline, but a metabolic emergency. Then, the lapses begin. You grasp for a common word, but it remains just out of reach. Chronic sugar consumption inflames the hippocampus, the command center for memory and learning. Watch the mood. You are being forced to ride a physiological roller coaster designed by food engineers to keep you craving the very thing that degrades your focus. When inflammation becomes the baseline, the brain's ability to regulate emotion, process complex information, and maintain long-term health is quietly, systematically dismantled. Awareness is the first step toward reclaiming your executive function. You are the pilot of your own biology. Disclaimer: this content is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. I hope this journey into the science of your own potential has provided the clarity you need to make choices that serve your long-term vitality. We're building a community dedicated to reclaiming our health from the ground up, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. Stay sharp, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.